Bible may preach peace, but when it is Christendom itself that is threatened, then it is every Christian's duty to defend all that is holy. His Holiness the Pope has called a crusade to reclaim the Holy Lands from the infidel, who would deny Christian pilgrims their right to visit the holy places. It is time for the armies of Christendom to put aside their differences and unite under one banner, the sign of the cross, and give back God's children what is rightfully theirs, or die trying.
Hello everybody, I am Petey the Power Dragon, and after quite a bit long hiatus, I return to give you quite the replay here today. We're doing a Faction War Subcommanders today, with Bretonnia versus the Tomb Kings. So, for those of you who don't know how Subcommanders works, it's a kind of self-imposed set of rules given to various players, where each person fills a kind of mini role. Those roles are ranged, cav and monsters, and infantry. Each player brings at least 4 units of chaff infantry to make sure that the battles stay reasonably consistent, and for the rest of the time, the player's entire job and army composition will be based around that specific type of unit. So, Bretonnia will have an infantry force focused around things like sergeants and billmen and foot squires, while their cavalry can really branch out. So, let me take a look at these armies. This was quite the battle. I'm quite happy to be sharing it with you today. And I'm going to get into it. Unfortunately, there was a rather large skirmish time. So, Pajadtron is leading the Tomb King's infantry section here, as the Legions of Nagash, with Tomb Guard, Skeleton Spearmen out around, Archon the Black, as well as 2 Tomb Princes for a bit of foot gooning potential. Then he's bringing out, if I can find him, there we go, the Nagashizar Guard from the End Times. These guys are rather tanky and functionally invincible in many an instance, so they're going to be pretty cool. And over in the wings, you know, he's got some crypt ghouls. NP will be playing cav and monsters, and leading High Queen Khalidah's sub-faction here. He will be bringing the Sphinx of Usekt, some Sepulchral Stalkers, a couple of Necropolis Knights, High Queen Khalidah, some Skeleton Chariots, a few more Sepulchral Stalkers, and a Hyro Titan. This thing's going to be super fun to watch. It is an utter beast in the End Times, and it's just... It's got some pretty cool stuff. Effects draws forth the souls of the unworthy. Anything that has that in its description is going to be pretty darn metal. And finally, Alan B commands the ranged contingents of the Tomb Kings, bringing with him Katep, everybody's favorite DJ, with 2 more Doombas, which are kicking up a lot of sand and dust, as well as busting out some Screaming Skull catapults, a Bone Giant, and the Blessed Legion of Ka. Yeah, so that is the Tomb Kings section of the Subcommanders, and if I haven't mentioned it already, we are playing with the End Times mod, which adds this beautiful map called the Paravon Fields. It's great. Over here, the Duke, yours truly, and Boki, and by the way, all of these people and these battles are organized on the End Times Discord server. Everybody here has a different role. Boki is Bordelot, busting out some of that classic Bordelot infantry. Utilizing Billmen, Borders, a unique End Times unit here with that amazing little section here. He's got Albrecht de Bordelot, Dismounted Knights, some of the Beast Slayers of Baston, and looking pretty good. A couple of sergeants here too. the Duke will be commanding the Bretonnian ranged component, with Pox Arrow Bowmen, a couple of Arbalists for a good chunk of AP. He will be leading his army with the Fey Enchantress, and yours truly, the Green Knight, is making an appearance. Not only for his Blessing of the Grail, but also for his Blessing of the Lady. All of them just being generally very good. Dolores Blade, Perfect Vigor. He's great in a Grail Reliquary. Finally, yours truly commands the Chevaliers de Lyonnaise, and is busting out the cavalry. I have some yeomanry over here, and actually another unit of scouting yeomanry. The Duke also has yeoman archers and the Wardens of Montfort, who got a little bit banged up in the skirmish fight. But over here is where the real Cav contingent lies. Chevaliers are unbreakable, strong vigor shock cavalry with a good chunk of AP. One unit of Grail Knights and another unit of Grail Guardians, the Companions of Coinel, and 2 Knights Errant. So, let's get underway, shall we? The Tomb Kings have started to take a bit of a pummeling, and so are really going to want, well, I say pummeling. There's been a bit of damage, and, of course, without having a Necrotect on this game, they can't actually do that passive heal and perfect vigor for their constructs. So, Tomb Kings are going to try and take the center here, and we might get to see some pretty cool shots from the Caskets of Souls. Moving up, the Blessed Field Trebuchet and the regular Trebuchet have been kind of hammering away. They've, done a bit, but they're mostly there to try and force enough of an engagement. Bretonnia really wants the Tomb Kings to get more into this side of the valley, so that way they can catch them out with all the cav. But if this is played well, the Tomb Kings can just kind of chill out on the hill. So, each of these glorious Doombas start to scooch up, and the Bone Giant is gonna start to lumber his way forward. He's taken a bit of damage from the Wardens of Montfort, which, isn't exactly ideal, but we'll see what happens. He's gonna scooch up, get ready for some shots here. Oh, is he gonna do it? I think he's gonna do it. Doombas are also being shot at with now the Blessed Field Trebuchets. Not quite sure what he's doing. Oh, there we go. Pulling out a magically infused arrow. Bad day to be those Foot Squires. Now, as the Bone Giant continues to pelt away, we start to get in the main crux of this issue. So, the Tomb Kings have decided to simply try and leave the hill at their back as a defensive tool, and I'm not quite sure where the Doombas are getting ready to fire. Those stinky peasants can be surprisingly accurate with those things when stuff starts to get in close. And now you can see as Bretonnia starts to close in, and we're going to get some awesome Casket of Souls shots. That was pretty cool. I must admit. Even if we may have not been the cheeriest to be on the receiving end of this artillery barrage, it is so cinematic. Couple of poisonous shots getting into the Bone Giant now. So, slowing down to address the situation. Cavalry is going to start to flank around and try and make use. The problem is, if the cavalry is met on the ledge, like right here by infantry and by countercharging cavalry and monsters and constructs, the Bretonnian advance will be stifled. And if Bretonnia can't cut through all of this infantry quick enough, they're going to have some real problems. Of course, some sneaky little yeomanry, not exactly the most chivalrous of tricks, but, peasants, can try and come around for some harassing. But the main objective is going to be to break through these skeletons. Now, the men-at-arms here, the normal mace infantry, are going to be a lot better for trading up into constructs. But when you get into things like spear men-at-arms, boarders, and to a lesser extent sergeants, they're more of a hold-the-line unit. you can really start to crunch through the bony boys. So, let's put it back on normal speed here. Bone Giant, really not loving life right now. It could be doing better. It's killed 41 Bretonnians, but it is drained. It's going to start to retreat. The Doombas are withdrawing to keep out of range of the Arbalists. Very good play by Alan. And now we're going to kind of get the main infantry charge. Loads of shots coming into the sergeants. And real quick, Arkin the Black and the Tomb Prince really starts to extend hard towards Alberic de Baudelot. And this is a bit of a risky play here, because getting so much in the enemy's grill is going to be a problem. You got the Grail Reliquary over here, and boom! Huge host of skeleton warriors summoned on some fire bowmen. But when Bretonia needed him most, he's taken a break from doing axe competitions and decapitations. It's the Green Knight coming from downtown. It's your friend, Dolores Blade, Blessing of the Lady. Boom! 9. Let me just real quick pause that. Take a quick gander at that stat line. Up to a 50% ward save, by the way. Honestly, I have no idea what to say on that. Like, really just nothing to say. Let's take a quick look here. So, gonna take some smacks at Arkin. Ooh. Immediately Arkin starts to take some damage. Cavalry has caught out some crypt ghouls, so they're gonna start to surround and charge into them there. But the main fight's going on right here. The curse has already gone down. Another big hit from the Green Knight. If he keeps charging, Shield of Thorns bringing him briefly up to the maximum. Arkin has managed to slip away here for the time being, and the Green Knight is now getting caught out by the Tomb Princes. And he's being Spirit Leeched. Big old Darude Sandstorm coming down on the Spearmen at Arms, so we're going to start to pull back. And yeah, Crypt Ghouls, even in the trees, they're going to have a rough time against all that cavalry. Over here on this flank, the Tomb Kings are starting to push back pretty hard. Skeleton Chariots starting to plow through some sergeants. Green Knight on life support right now. Arkin has started to heal his way back up. A lot of the Tomb King's constructs now facing to be ready, and oh, barely missing the yeomanry there with that Bone Giant. And hordes of skeleton archers. The Tomb Kings are in a really strong position. Oh, we got, yep, that's a regrowth upgraded on him. Is this a Darude Sandstorm? Just such a cool spell. Some boarders are trying to attack a temp, but with that Usarian's Incantation of Vengeance, they're going to be stopped and caught up by the Tomb Princes. Bretonia's infantry has really started to buckle here, but Boki really good on him. He's going to start making flanking maneuvers in here with the borders, and if he can start to break through these Tomb Guard with things like the Knights of Manon and put a lot of pressure here, it's going to force all of this to reallocate its efforts and start protecting this Tomb King's right flank. And once that happens, the Cav is just waiting, licking their lips, wanting to get a good charge in. In the meantime, Duke is continuing to pepper them and really doing quite the good job. Green Knight already at his healing cap, so things are probably going to be rough for him for the rest of this battle, but he's already more than started to make up for some of his shortcomings so far in the health department with just pure damage. And yet another big old vortex here. I'm thinking that's going to be a purple sun. And not a sandstorm? No, it is! It's another sandstorm! Oh. Great cast so far. Katep up to 133 kills. And a great play here by Pajad. Loads of casualties on his side. So he summons in some Realm of Souls Ushapti to really keep things in check here. The Tomb Kings they're holding formation pretty darn well. And now the Bretonnian Cav is starting to really get in position here. The time to strike is pretty much now. It may not be the optimal time, but something has to be done, or else the Bretonnian infantry in range is just going to completely buckle under this weight. A lot of relocating here from Carcassonne and the Duke in order to really try and overload this flank. So that way the Tomb Kings now have to choose. They can push through this center here, and they'll get caught out by all of this advancing infantry. And they'll be forced into a grind here and leave themselves open to the cav charges. They can stay where they are and allow all of this range superiority to overwhelm this flank. Or they could try and charge out all this cav and get it down. So, let's see what they choose. Yeomanry trying to dodge and weave their way through and get into some disruption areas here, being a bit cheeky on my end. Chevaliers coming in, same thing with Grail Knights, really just committing hard into this Bone Giant. I don't want to let it live to get good shots into the cav. Alan just says, you know what, sure, we're going to go in. Blessing of the Lady coming in for a good bit of charge bonus, and not looking great for that Bone Giant. And now that the Skeleton Spearmen are being committed, the rest of the Bretonnian Cav can start coming in. More Yeomanry, going to catch out these Crypt Ghouls as they run out. Out here. Ooh! Very good shot by NP there. Rapunzel is going to stop these Skeleton Warriors by herself. She's going to tie them down in order to get these good charges in with the Nagashizar Guard and the Companions of Quinel to make sure that there are no fronts that the Tomb Kings can ignore. So, looking back at this from a Tomb King's perspective. So, we're already seeing what the Bretonnians are doing to try and stop things. How can the Tomb Kings really get it? Well, this is one. The Legions of Snex and the Sphinx of Usekt coming in. Rapunzel has managed to tie up all these skeleton warriors, but she may have bitten off quite a bit more than she can chew, as the other girl boss over here, Rapunzel may have girl bossed a bit too close to the sun. The Bone Giant is pretty much lost. The Hydro Titan is going to want to be getting in there and really trying to use the Realm of Souls Ushapti here. Katep is starting to get shot to pieces, and I gotta try and figure out where the Green Knight is, because he's going to be lurking about, and I don't want to lose track of him. Grail Relique, Usek's Incantation of Desecration. Skeleton Archers, don't quite know how these nerds ended up here. They are definitely not in Dallas anymore. There's the Green Knight. Maybe some spectral shenaniganery was happening. So, Caskets are still online, still causing havoc. And Katep is just... Katep is doing so well for himself. Chevaliers chasing out, Knights Errant coming in. And these Knights Errant here. Grail Guardian's going to start to scooch their way about. Grail Knights in here, and... yeah, this Cav fight isn't going to go well for Bretonnia. The Companions of Quinel might have to get sacked here just to let some this stuff escape. Rapunzel trying to get out there. I don't want that leadership penalty when I'm about to make a big move like I am here. Knights Errant going to try and shut down the Great Bow Ushapti, and then scooching in here, the Grail Guardians have dodged and weaved their way past, and they got open targets. Coming back for round 2, Ark in the Black versus the Green Knight. Upgraded Spirit Leech. This is a duel to the death. Somebody's gonna die here. Staff of Nagash. Ooh. Oh! The Green Knight takes down Arkin, and Spirit Leech is worn off, so he's just gonna try and nope out of there. Rapunzel is going to start to yeet herself in. Grand Hierophant Katep now caught out by Chevaliers and Albrecht de Bordelot, but Tomb King's very wisely going to pop a Realm of Souls Ushapti in there. Now, Balance Bar is starting to favor the Tomb Kings here, but for the astute of you who may know, When I have played in end times tournaments in the past, I've actually put a piece of tape over this part of my screen, because it really has very little bearing on the strategic importance of what's going on. However, in this instance, I do think that the Tomb Kings, while they're losing maybe a bit in the strategic sense, they have a very good center. And as far as what's happening, they're responding to it exactly how they need to. Realm of Souls Ushabti coming in to try and stomp the Chevaliers. The infantry for Bordelot is slowly starting to push past. A lot of the Tomb King's infantry has held for a very long time. The Tomb Guard here, though, getting caught out by a bit of a spell there. The Nagashizar Guard are starting to waver. However, the Tomb King's infantry has very cleverly been placed in this kind of checkerboard. So it's kind of the Roman strategy of a uniform front line and a checkerboarded back line for support. Meanwhile, the Cavan monsters are really just running rampant. Like, let's be honest, even though the Bone Giant's probably gonna die, this Hyra Titan's gonna be problematic. Not much to be said about that. And the Caskets are still gonna keep pummeling, while the ranged for Carcassonne continues to pelt away. Katep is gonna start to scooch his way out towards Peasant Mob and Rapunzel, who's fighting some, and she was chasing after this casket, but now she spies an even juicier prize. And if I can orient my camera here, is gonna start to go straight for Katep. Earthblood gets popped on her to give her some vigor, and Katep turns his back. Worst thing that you can do when you're being chased is to turn your back. What you want to do is you'd want to take these Nehkarn warriors, get into combat, and then shift your back. So that way you can move through the infantry, and then your opponent can't. Campfight being pretty handily won, and the Grail Knights very badly beaten up. The Knights Errant, the Grail Guardians kind of going through here. Sepulchral Stalkers still on the hunt. And the Green Knight still hanging on. 3 kills, 3,000 damage value. Faye Enchantress running buck wild, and Alberic looking for some foot duels. And the Sphinx of Usekt is going to really start to swing this. Dismounted Knights are very tired, and it is drained, though. So it's not a... No one's exactly going to be as efficient as they would like to in that fight. Rapunzel blinding people away with the holy might of the lady! She is coming for that bony ass as Katep desperately runs away. Oh, doing the shimmy. Gets a hit in. Nagashizar Guard trying to take in Tomb Princes. And whoop. Yeah, Katep's dead. That he's not gonna live through all that. 37 HP. 37 HP! And he lives! Katep rallies and lives through that! I can't complain. That is impressive. Tomb Kings have really started to dominate over on this flank here. They still have a lot of Skeleton Warriors. Big fights going on in here. Katep's kind of got it. Wardens of Montfort, though, are they going to get the lucky shot? Oh, oh! Look at it. There goes Katep. Sphinx of Usekt coming in. Rapunzel managing to escape from the jaws of defeat and rest. Bretonia's very much so trying to rest what they have, and the part of it that they need to finesse is the stuff that they have that is currently not resting is gonna start to really get bowled over here if they aren't careful. But they're in a very strong position. So it's going pretty well with the coordination on both sides. The infantry is really looking to support and protect everything that they can. The cavalry is running rampant to try and shut down all of these like Grail units that are just pummeling along. The ranged is providing consistent and valued support, and I mean, just look at this thing. I mean, come on. That's pretty awesome. Meanwhile, Boki has just been the real I always feel bad when I don't sing the praises of the infantry players enough, because they are usually linchpins that can help people stand. And the dismounted knights and the beast slayers and the boarders and spearmen at arms are just really vital here. As well as the consistent armor piercing damage from the arbalists and the casts from the Fey Enchantress. And also this Grail Reliquary, giving out things like with Albrecht giving out Blessing of Manon and the Grail Reliquary in there, it allows Rapunzel to actually kind of reasonably comfortably take the fight with the Sphinx of Usect. Of course, she's getting help by maybe one of the best monster duelists, Albrecht de Bordelot. And yep, Sphinx is kinda caught out there. Grail Guardians, Grail Guardians exploding with the fury of the lady! When we last checked on them literally 15 seconds ago, they were on 10 kills. God, that's so satisfying. Grail Knights. Coming in, and yeah, Favor of the Fae, giving extra 30% vigor, unbreakable, and magical damage is a bit redundant on the Grail Knights, but you really start to see the carving through. Balance bar is now even. To continue comment on that, Sphinx of Usek just says, yeah, I'm just gonna get in here, you know, might as well. Rapunzel has been caught out, really nice plays, and yeah, she gets destroyed by High Queen Khalida. The infantry blobs over here are being slowly withered away by the Fey Enchantress, up to 224 kills. The Holy Bible may preach peace, but, you know, the fairest maiden in the land isn't exactly one to follow its instructions. Spearmen at Arms, Knights Errant. This is that lovely stage of the battle where if you have poo, you fling it now and... Unleashing the souls of the damned, those judged guilty. Oh, I'd love to see a Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney spin-off with the Hyro Titan. Sphinx of Usek currently stuck in. The Grail Knights and Grail Guardians being honorable for the lady and just a real good feature here, but Queen Khalida's on the hunt. She does not want them to get out. She loves that fight. She takes down one Grail Knight, and she keeps going. I'm gonna kind of say, yeah, sorry about your Arbalists. I'm just gonna lead them into the teeth of our army. Another Summon Dushamti. I think that's the final Summon Dushamti here to really try and keep this infantry fight going. Maybe tip it. Another unleashing of the souls of the damned as this Hard Sphinx of Usek goes down! That's big. That is really big. The Nagashis, our guard, are still holding on. Slight charge in here by the yeomanry, and good flanking by the peasant mob to try and free up this flank to close in. Alberic de Bordelot taking a fight with one of the Tomb Princes. Tomb Prince is probably better in that fight. Albrecht's not really made for it, but you know, I could of course chuck in some Grail Guardians and some Grail Knights in there. Goodness gracious, Hyro Titan. It may not be winning the fight. Actually, no, it's winning that fight, both in terms of style and in terms of infantry engagements here as the Tomb Kings continue to swing it here. Though balance bar now in Bretonia's favor, as they outnumber the Tomb Kings roughly 10-1. But it's about to get a lot more serious. High Queen Khalida is on the hunt. Alberic is caught out. If he dies, and that causes chain routes for the infantry, then Tomb Kings are under the cookie jar. Like, the cav support is gone. It's just the infantry keeping Bretonia's, like, linchpin range troops in the fight. So Albrecht going down will be a huge deal. And he's not exactly loving life. Knights Errant, all of the poo is gonna be flung into this fight right here. And now Barrack's running! Hyro Titan! Oh! Going down with a fight. And Alberic de Baudelot, most certainly ungeneric, dies to High Queen Khalida. That's a blow. That is a serious blow. But with the Hyro Titan down, it's going to be real hard for the Tomb Kings to keep pushing through as their units slowly start to wither away. High Queen Khalida just going nuts. Grail Guardians still alive. 6 models. Still kicking. Many of the infantry here isn't exactly on high leadership. They're slowly taking down the Tomb Guard. The Nagashizar Guard, though, will fight to the bitter end. Functionally immortal. Requiring the Fey Enchantress to really get in there. Grail Guardians fighting it out with High Queen Khalida. An absolute monstrosity. Who has just been... She's just been amazing. There's no other way to really put it. Even as the grip on that the Tomb Kings have on this battle really starts to slip. I mean, it's undeniable here that the Tomb Kings had the style points. In between those 3 casket shots and a beautiful explosion just as I start to say that the Tomb Kings really had the style on hand. And yet, Grail Guardians, 2 models, still kicking. Tomb Prince dying. And yeah, looks like Bretonnia will take it home. Whoa, huge Curse of Jaw for the Rampage. And let me just real quick. Whoa! High Queen Khalida, Vampire Slayer. You can start to get a real good image of why she's so darn good at her job. And why I think that she is just so cool. Yeah. That's it, lads. Good game. All that remains of the Cav force is a single Grail Knight. The infantry force is in tatters. And the ranged forces are all out of ammo, vigor, and half of their men. Good game. Yeah. Tomb Kings and Bretonnia. What a slugfest. Goodness gracious. I mean, just look at this. Kill counts are off the charts. It's just, my goodness. The Tomb Guard, the Gashazar Guard held. Arkan did very well, so did the Tomb Princes. For Pachad. The Sphinx of Usakt was a real threat to the cavalry. All of the cavalry did well here. That Hyro Titan styling. Same thing with Khalida. And, you know, Katep and the gang. Pretty darn cool. Chucking sandstorms and all kinds of crap everywhere. Like, just, oh, beautiful. Companions of Quenelle, some of the Grail Guardians and the Grail Knights did very well. So did Rapance. And the Chevaliers did pretty nicely. It was definitely a suicide mission that the cavalry went out on. They dove into the absolute teeth of the Tomb King's infantry, and 1 Grail Guardian remained. So, you know, kudos to that guy who can tell the story to all of his kids. Well, vow of celibacy, I guess. Alberic de Baudelot did very well, and all of Boki's infantry was where it needed to be, when it needed to be, receiving the right buffs. Which brings us on to Alfred Magnus, who is the name of a Steam account alternate being used by the Duke, who's the creator of the mod. Props to him. Yeah, just look at this. So the kill counts on the Fey Enchantress and the Trebuchets may not be that impressive. But then you start to look at the damage values and you think, oh, okay. Oh, wow. 37,000, 3,700 on Arbalists. 3,000 on the Green Knight. 2,200 on the Fey Enchantress. All in all, I mean, it's a good battle. Only so many ways to say it. And I only hope that you all enjoyed seeing it and hearing me talk about it as I did playing it. So, thank you all very much, and I hope you have a good time. Goodbye.